Grimora.
I never believed in haunted towns until I saw the way people in Marrow Ridge avoided looking at the old mining road after sunset. Even the sheriff, a man built like he could headbutt a bull, would lock his office door before the evening fog rolled in. And every local warned me about the same thing. Don't drive the Ridge Road after dark. If you see a lantern swinging in the woods, don't stop. I wasn't the type who scared easily. After surviving a divorce, the loss of my mother, and being laid off from my construction job all in the same month, fear felt like something that belonged to another version of me. I moved to Marrow Ridge to work night security at the abandoned iron mine. The kind of job nobody wanted. The mine had shut down in the 80s after an accident trapped a dozen people underground. The official reports blamed a cave-in. The locals blamed something else. There were stories about a woman who used to walk the ridge every evening, holding a lantern, waiting for her husband to return from the mine. When he never did, she kept walking, and when her body was never found after the mine closed, the story said she still walked. I didn't believe any of that. Not at first. My first week passed quietly. Nights were slow, just the sound of distant wind through pine and my boots crunching the gravel along the fence perimeter. The mine entrance loomed like a dark, toothless mouth, but nothing unusual happened. But on the 8th night, I saw it. A light, a small flickering amber glow deep in the trees, like a lantern swinging gently in someone's hand. I stopped, confused. No one else worked nights. No hikers, no campers, just me and the dark. The lantern swayed left, then right, slow, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. I whispered to myself, "Someone's playing games." But when I stepped toward the fence to get a clearer look, the light vanished. Gone. The woods.
I never believed in haunted towns until I saw the way people in Marrow Ridge avoided looking at the old mining road after sunset. Even the sheriff, a man built like he could headbutt a bull, would lock his office door before the evening fog rolled in. And every local warned me about the same thing. Don't drive the Ridge Road after dark. If you see a lantern swinging in the woods, don't stop. I wasn't the type who scared easily. After surviving a divorce, the loss of my mother, and being laid off from my construction job all in the same month, fear felt like something that belonged to another version of me. I moved to Marrow Ridge to work night security at the abandoned iron mine, the kind of job nobody wanted. The mine had shut down in the 80s after an accident trapped a dozen people underground. The official reports blamed a cave-in. The locals blamed something else. There were stories about a woman who used to walk the ridge every evening holding a lantern, waiting for her husband to return from the mine. When he never did, she kept walking. And when her body was never found after the mine closed, the stories said she still walked. I didn't believe any of that, not at first. My first week passed quietly. Nights were slow, just the sound of distant wind through pine and my boots crunching the gravel along the fence perimeter. The mine entrance loomed like a dark, toothless mouth, but nothing unusual happened. But on the 8th night, I saw it. A light, a small, flickering amber glow deep in the trees, like a lantern swinging gently in someone's hand. I stopped, confused. No one else worked nights. No hikers, no campers, just me and the dark. The lantern swayed left, then right. Slow, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. I whispered to myself, "Someone's playing games." But when I stepped toward the fence to get a clearer look, the light vanished. Gone. The woods went still, too still. I tried to shake it off, but something pressed into the air around me, a heaviness, like the moment before a storm. My breath came out in pale puffs, even though the night wasn't cold enough for that. I continued my rounds, uneasy but determined not to let ghost stories get to me. But when I reached the north fence line, closest to the abandoned mine shaft, I saw something else. A woman standing between two pines. She wore a long, tattered dress that looked more like old funeral cloth. Her hair hung down to her shoulders in wet, clumped strands. Her head tilted slightly, like she was trying to listen. Her lantern, small, rusted, swaying with a dead flame, hung from her right hand. I froze. She didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stared at me with eyes that didn't reflect any light, as if they were frozen wells, swallowing everything that touched them. I blinked once. She disappeared. Just gone. No movement, no fading, no sound, like someone sliced her image from the world in a single clean motion. My body shook. I stepped back toward my truck, heart slamming. When I reached the door, my radio crackled. A soft whisper, like static, shaped into a voice. "Help me." I stared at the receiver. Another whisper pushed through, louder. "Find him." Then silence.
I didn't sleep that morning. The next night, I nearly quit. But pride can be a stupid thing. I wasn't going to back down from shadows. I clocked in, started my rounds, and told myself I imagined everything. But at 1:13 a.m., the lantern appeared again, closer this time, swaying slowly in the tree line. I shouted, "Who's there?" No answer, only the lantern swinging, forward, backward, forward, backward. I stepped closer, and the flame inside the lantern flared suddenly, bright, unnatural, searing the darkness for a second. When it dimmed, the lantern widow stood under the pine boughs, and she wasn't looking at me. She was looking past me, at something behind me. A voice whispered directly next to my ear, "You shouldn't have come back." My blood ran cold as I turned around, slowly, terrified, and saw nothing. When I looked back toward the trees, she was gone again. But the lantern remained, lying at the base of a tree, burning, flickering without fuel. I don't know what possessed me to step toward it, but something in my chest pulled, an ache, an invisible hook. When I reached the lantern, the flame inside dimmed to a faint glow. On its rusted frame, a name was scratched into the metal. Thomas Hale. I didn't recognize it at first, not until I got home and looked up the mining accident. 12 miners died. One name stood out, Thomas Hale, husband of Eleanor Hale. Eleanor Hale, the woman who walked the ridge, the woman whose body was never found, the lantern widow. That night was the first time the lantern appeared. It wasn't the last. The second time, she came closer. The third time, she touched me. And the fourth time, she called me by my name.
Sleep stopped feeling like rest after the night I found the lantern. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her silhouette in the trees, head tilted, dress dragging, lantern swaying in that soft, impossible rhythm. By the time my next shift started, my hands were already trembling. I didn't want to go back, but something in me felt pulled toward the mine, the way the lantern flame seemed drawn to wind that wasn't there. Curiosity, fear, guilt. I didn't know which one dragged me, only that staying away felt harder than returning. The mine sat quiet when I arrived, too quiet. Even the wind that normally cut through the ridge had gone still, like it chose not to disturb whatever waited there. I started walking the perimeter again. My flashlight beams shook across the old iron gates and rusted rails. I told myself I wouldn't react to anything tonight. No lanterns, no shadows, no whispers. I made it halfway around before the cold hit. Not air cold, bone cold. My breath fogged instantly. My fingertips went numb. The flashlight flickered like something pressed its hand over the battery. Then, from the darkness of the trees, a faint glow appeared. The lantern, not swaying this time, still, as if someone held it steady. My throat tightened. I took a step back. "No," I whispered, "not tonight." But the lantern brightened, and the woman stepped between two pines. The lantern widow. Her pale face looked carved from candle wax, melted and reshaped by hands that didn't understand human anatomy anymore. Her hair hung in tangled ropes. Her dress floated around her like it remembered how to move before she stopped belonging to the world. She lifted the lantern. The flame burned blue. Her voice reached me before her mouth moved, broken, stretched thin like it traveled through decades of silence. "Help me find him." I forced my voice out. "I can't help you. I don't know where he is." Her head tilted farther, creaking in an angle no living neck could bend. "You were with him." I stepped back, heart slamming against my ribs. No, I wasn't." She floated one step forward. "You were with him when the earth closed." My breath froze. "What are you talking about?" Her hollow eyes burned faintly like embers inside an abandoned fireplace. "You went inside the mine when the ridge cracked." My chest tightened painfully. "I've never been inside the mine." But as the words left my mouth, something twisted deep inside my memory. A sharp, disorienting flash like déjà vu but heavier. The sound of rocks collapsing. A scream. Hands reaching for light. A lantern falling. My knees buckled. The flash vanished as fast as it came. I stared at her. "What did you just show me?" She drifted closer, her feet inches above the ground, the lantern flame casting broken shadows under her chin. "You left him." My voice cracked. "I don't know who you think I am." "You left him," she repeated, harsher this time, her voice shaking like her throat was full of stones. "You left them all." My pulse hammered in my ears. Something wasn't right. She wasn't seeing me. She was confusing me with someone else, someone who'd been in that mine during the collapse. But the collapse happened before I was born. Her voice softened again. "Bring him home." I shook my head. "I can't. I'm not." She vanished, just blinked out of existence. The lantern dropped to the ground, clattering softly against stone. The flame inside didn't go out. It continued to burn with that wrong, hungry blue. I approached slowly, dread tightening around my ribs. A metal plate hung from the lantern's handle, a thin, rusted tag I hadn't seen before. A new name was scratched into it. Ethan Moore. My breath stopped. That was my name. I stumbled backward, falling to gravel. No! No, no, no! The trees around me shifted, silhouettes sliding as if someone moved between them. The air vibrated with distant whispers. The ground felt softer, as if something underneath stirred awake. A voice drifted from behind me. Not hers. Deeper, older. "You returned." I spun around. Nothing. My flashlight flickered, then went dark. I grabbed it with both hands, shaking it violently until the beam sputtered back on. Something stood at the mouth of the mine. A shape. Tall. Still. Human-like. But not human.
A black outline against the tunnel, featureless except for two dull orange glows where eyes should be. No flame, no life, just heat buried in shadow. My entire body froze. The lantern widow did not appear near it. She appeared beside me,
so close I felt her cold breath on my ear. He waited for you. I staggered away from her, falling again. The shadow at the mine entrance leaned forward slightly, watching. The lantern flare flared blue. The widow whispered, "Follow." I scrambled to my feet, backing away. "No!" Her head snapped sharply, jerking toward me. She floated near her. The cold around her thickened. "Follow." "No," I yelled, voice cracking. "I'm not going inside that mine." Her face contorted, grief twisting into something darker, raw, desperate. "You must." "I can't." "You already did." I froze. Her lantern flickered violently, casting spinning blue light across the trees. The shadow at the mine entrance stepped 1 inch forward. The earth trembled faintly under its weight. The lantern widow's voice dropped to a whisper, brittle and broken. "You died there." My blood turned to ice. She leaned closer, hollow eyes burning blue. "You must remember. Only then can he rest." I shook violently, clutching the gravel. I don't want to remember. But the images kept coming harder now. The mine, the collapse, the screaming, and in one flash, brief, sharp, I saw a face I didn't recognize. A miner, trapped, reaching for me, mouth open, calling my name. Ethan, my name, my real name. But it came from a man dead before I ever worked here, or so I thought. The lantern widow backed into the trees, sinking into shadow. "You left him once," she whispered. "Don't leave him again." The shadow at the mine entrance leaned forward, waiting, wanting, calling. And deep inside, where the fear felt most like truth, a part of me remembered something I shouldn't, something impossible, something buried, something dead, and the mine knew it.
I didn't go inside the mine that night. I couldn't. I drove home shaking so badly I could barely keep the truck on the road. My mind played the same images over and over. Tunnels collapsing, lantern flames flickering blue, hands reaching for me through choking dust. Memories that weren't mine, couldn't be mine, yet they felt real, too real. I didn't sleep. Every time my eyes closed, I saw the lantern flame hovering in the darkness of my room, swinging slowly left, right, left, right. The widow's whisper slid beneath my skin. "You left him." By morning, I had convinced myself my brain was playing tricks. Stress, exhaustion, the mine's creepy atmosphere, nothing more. But when I splashed water on my face in the bathroom, something made me freeze. On my bare forearm, small cuts, dozens, thin, almost precise, perfectly shaped like fingertips. Not scratches, not accidental. The widow lantern had grabbed me last night. The cold spread beneath my skin like frost. I didn't want to go to work. Every instinct in me screamed to quit, leave town, never look back. But something heavier pressed down on me. Guilt, confusion, a weight I couldn't explain. It felt like whatever happened in the mine decades ago wasn't done with me. When I arrived at the site that night, the air already felt wrong. Fog crawled low between the pines like it didn't want to rise. My flashlight beam cut through it in thin, sickly slices. The lantern waited for me again, placed carefully on the path. Not swinging, not burning blue, just sitting there, like a gift left by something that didn't understand gifts. I stepped closer, heart pounding. A new metal tag hung from the handle. This one held not a name,
but a number. Number 11. I swallowed. 12 miners died in the collapse. Thomas Hale was one of them. If this tag was real, I whispered, "Number 11?" My breath fogged the air. A voice answered behind me, low, gravelly. Not the widow. The last one was you. I spun. The shadow from the mine stood 10 feet away, half hidden behind fog. Its form shifted, sometimes human, sometimes wider, sometimes like something crawling upright. The heat of its orange glowing eyes glimmered faintly through mist. It didn't move closer. It didn't need to. It raised an arm, slowly, pointing toward the dark entrance of the mine. Then it stepped backward, melting into shadow, inviting me inside. My hands trembled. No, I'm not going in there. But my feet inched forward anyway. The widow's lantern flame flickered faintly, responding to something unseen behind me. A cold hand touched my shoulder. Every nerve in my body locked. I didn't need to look. I knew it was her. Her voice slid into my ear like a thread of frozen air. You died there once. You can save him now. I'm not dead. I'm not... She dropped her voice lower. Then why does the mine remember you? My chest tightened painfully. The fog thickened around us, swirling toward the mine like something exhaled from the tunnels themselves. I tried to step away, but her hand tightened, and suddenly I didn't feel the cold forest around me. I felt dirt, crushing pressure, air filling with dust, voices screaming, the world shaking, a lantern swinging wildly in a collapsing tunnel. I heard it again. Ethan.
That same voice from the flash before. That same voice from a dead man's memory. I staggered forward, nearly falling. No, I whispered. No, that can't be me. That's... Another flash slammed into my skull. This time, clearer. A younger me. Not exactly me, but someone who looked like me. Same posture, same hands, standing inside the mine with a lantern, panic in his eyes, rock dust on his clothes, 12 men behind him, the roof trembling. He dropped his lantern, the tunnel collapsed, screams filled the dark. Someone reached for him, that voice. Ethan, don't leave me. My heart felt like it was splitting. I fell to my knees. The widow knelt beside me. Her face was inches from mine, hollow eyes glowing blue, tears tracing down her waxy cheeks, though tears shouldn't be possible for the dead. You left my Thomas behind. My lungs tightened. No, I didn't. But the memory told a different story. A story where I survived. A story where someone who looked like me, someone with my name, ran when he should have stayed. A story where I left someone behind, and the mine kept the guilt, kept the memory, kept the echo of who I was. You belong to the dark he died, the widow whispered. No, I choked. I'm not him. I'm not. You are, she said. The lantern flame flared blue again. The shadow appeared in the mine entrance, waiting, calling, and something inside me cracked open, not fear, but recognition. A truth buried too deep, a truth I didn't want. The widow's voice softened, almost tender. Go back. No, I whispered weakly. Her cold fingers pressed against my chest. You must. The pressure in the air shifted, the fog pulling inward,
the mine breathing in. I stumbled toward the tunnel, my voice shaking. I'm not going in there. But the lantern's blue flame pointed the way, swaying gently. The mine growled. The shadow leaned forward, and in the distant dark, a faint voice called out, weak, pained, human. "Ethan, please!" I froze. My heart stopped. Someone was inside, someone alive, someone waiting. I stepped closer. One more step, then the ground beneath me trembled, like something very old woke beneath the stone. I whispered into the dark, "Ethan?" The answer came back, "Don't leave me again." My breath caught. The widow drifted behind me. "You hear him now. You feel what you forgot." "No! You belong to the night he died." My legs trembled as I took another step toward the mine. The shadow retreated deeper, guiding. The lantern flame bent toward the darkness. The tunnel swallowed the light, and inside, the voice whispered, "Come back for me."
I stood at the mouth of the mine, staring into the dark throat of the tunnel. Cold air drifted out from within, thick with the smell of earth that had never seen daylight. The kind of air that pressed against the lungs, refusing to let them expand fully. The kind of air that belonged to things buried. The widow hovered inches behind me, her lantern flame flickering a faint, unnatural blue. The shadow deeper in the mine, whatever shape it truly was, waited with the patience of something that had been waiting for decades. And somewhere inside, a voice kept calling my name, "Ethan." I gripped the steel fence post beside me so hard the rust bit into my fingers. My throat tightened until it hurt. "Thomas is dead," I whispered to myself. "He's been dead for 30 years. But the voice, it didn't sound dead. It sounded like a man trapped behind walls made of stone and time. The widow floated closer, her dress brushing against the ground without touching it. "He calls only to you." "I'm not him," I said, voice cracking. I wasn't born yet. Her hollow eyes shivered. "Memory survives longer than the body." "What does that even mean?" Her lantern flame dimmed. "The mind does not forget those who abandoned it." The weight of her words landed like stone. She wasn't just talking about the dead miners. She was talking about me. No, not me. The man I used to be. The man I didn't remember being. The man I didn't want to remember being. My head throbbed as the memories pressed in. Shadows behind my eyelids. Flashes of a collapsing tunnel, a man screaming for help, hands scraping against rocks, another pair of hands pulling away. The older Ethan had run, left Thomas behind, and now the mine believed I was him. The widow drifted to the side, revealing the tunnel entrance fully. "You must go in," she whispered. I shook my head. "I won't. You have no choice." The light inside the mine shifted, glowing faintly like embers buried in ash. Something moved in the tunnel, slow, dragging. I stepped back instinctively, but roots, literal roots from the ground, curled gently around my boot. Not tight enough to trap, just enough to remind me the forest was behind me now, and it wanted me to go forward. I swallowed hard. "Thomas?" I whispered into the tunnel. A moment of silence. Then, "Ethan, please." His voice broke.
begged. A sound so raw, so human, it shredded what little courage I had left. I felt my chest twist with guilt that didn't belong to this lifetime, but it belonged to me. The widow raised her lantern. The blue flame stretched like a finger pointing into the mine. Bring him home. I took a step inside, just one step, and the darkness swallowed me whole. The sound of the night forest outside vanished instantly, replaced by a thick, pulsing quiet. The air felt heavier, colder, older. My breath came out in trembling puffs. The walls seemed closer than they were, pressing in, bending inward with a weight that made oxygen scarce. My flashlight flickered, then steadied. Ahead of me, the tunnel sloped down into deeper shadow. "Ethan!" Thomas's voice echoed faintly, distorted by rock and time. I whispered, "Where are you?" The answer was a weak, exhausted breath. "Below." The widow didn't follow me in. She lingered at the entrance, lantern swaying, her hollow eyes fixed at me with something like sorrow. "Don't forget, you left him once." Her voice trembled. "Do not leave him again." Then she dimmed, and the mine closed behind me like the mouth of a beast. The moment her light faded, my flashlight sputtered again. The walls pressed closer. The ceiling shuddered faintly with the memory of old collapses. Thomas's voice pulled me deeper.
I walked slowly, every step louder than it should have been. My boots echoed through the tunnels, the sound bouncing off the stone in a way that made it impossible to tell where anything truly was. The air thickened, damp, tasting of rust. Something brushed my shoulder. I spun around, raising the flashlight. Nothing. Then a whisper behind me. "You shouldn't have left me." I jerked the light toward the sound. Nobody, just darkness. Cold sweat rolled down my spine. Another whisper, closer this time, right behind my left ear. "You left me alone." I stumbled forward, flashlight shaking violently. "Thomas," I called out, "where are you?" "For years," he whispered, "in the dark." My throat tightened. "Thomas, I'm trying to help you. Just tell me where—" A hand grabbed my ankle. I screamed and jumped back. The beam of light shot downward, onto a hand protruding from the dirt. Fingers pale, nails cracked, skin torn, as if reaching from beneath the earth. Then it sank, slowly, quietly, as if pulled back down. My breath caught. Thomas wasn't standing somewhere in the mine. He was trapped, buried. I knelt, shaking. "Thomas, I'm here. I'm here now." The tunnel went silent. Then, a faint tap echoed beneath the dirt. Once, twice, 3 slow taps, like knuckles knocking from under a coffin. "Please," his voice whispered, "don't leave me again." I dug with my bare hands, scraping at the soil, trying desperately to find something, anything. But the dirt was packed, solid, cold as stone. Then the ground trembled beneath me, and a second voice rose from deeper below. A voice not human, a voice that made my skin crawl. "He belongs to me." The mine groaned, the walls shook, dust rained from the ceiling. The flashlight flickered wildly. I crawled backward, heart slamming, choking on dust. when the dirt in front of me exploded upward. A face emerged, covered in earth, hollowed, eyes glowing faint orange, jaw hanging crooked. A voice, Thomas's voice, gasped through broken lips. "Help me." I reached out without thinking, and something else grabbed my wrist. Something stronger, something deeper, something that didn't want to let him go. I screamed. The tunnel swallowed my voice, and the mine finally started to wake up.
The grip on my wrist tightened so violently, it felt like bones splintered beneath the skin. I tried to pull back, but whatever held me wasn't a hand. It felt like roots, wet, cold, fibrous, wrapping around my arm and dragging me toward the dirt wall. Thomas's face remained half buried, eyes glowing faintly beneath layers of earth. His mouth moved like he was trying to speak, but only a thin rasp escaped. "Don't leave." The pressure around my wrist jerked hard. I fell forward, face hitting the soil. A mouthful of dust filled my throat. I clawed at the floor, but the roots, or whatever they were, pulled harder. Something beneath the earth wanted me. Something older than the mine, older than Marrow Ridge. Something that used voices like bait, and it wanted me closer. I screamed, kicking wildly. My flashlight rolled away, casting frantic shadows across the jagged tunnel walls. The cone of light swung toward the buried figure, toward Thomas, but his face flickered, like a dying projection. For a heartbeat, I didn't see a man. I saw a hollowed-out puppet, a memory molded into the shape of a man, a false body meant to lure me deeper. "Help!" I screamed. The tunnel swallowed the sound, feeding it backward into the darkness. The root tightened. It began to pull me into the dirt, my arm sinking up to the elbow. Cold shot through my bones. My fingers numbed. I felt soil shifting around my skin, alive, grasping, swallowing. Thomas's voice whispered again, but this time it wasn't coming from the mouth. It came from the dirt itself. "Come back, come back." My terror spiked. I yanked with everything I had, adrenaline tearing through my veins. The root shifted, adjusting, as if preparing to drag my entire body under. The widow's voice suddenly echoed faintly from behind me. "You shouldn't be here alone." I turned my head as much as the dirt allowed. She floated at the entrance of the tunnel, far behind, her lantern dimming and glowing like a dying star. Her face was turned not toward me, but toward the buried thing holding me. She whispered something in a language I didn't know, a soft, broken chant that echoed strangely. 3 words repeated again and again. The buried thing responded. The root tightened, angry now. The tunnel walls trembled violently. Dust rained in sheets. Rocks cracked under ancient pressure. Something deep beneath the mine roared, not a sound, but a vibration so heavy it hurt my teeth. The widow's dead eyes locked on me. "Ethan, run." The root jerked me violently back to the earth. I screamed. The widow's lantern flared white, so bright it seared the darkness. The root loosened, just a fraction. Enough. I tore my arm free, the bark-like fibers ripping off in wet strands that clung to my skin like living parasites. I stumbled backward, slamming against the rock wall, panting for air. Thomas, or the thing wearing Thomas, sank back into the earth like a drowning man pulled under an invisible lake. Soil swallowed him. Roots curled. The glowing eyes faded until nothing remained but cold dirt and a faint orange ember deep beneath the surface. I crawled away on hands and knees, shaking uncontrollably. My arm throbbed with a cold that didn't fade. Under my skin, something pulsed, slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat that wasn't my own.
The widow drifted closer, her lantern dim now. "You tried," she whispered, "but he is not the one calling you." My voice cracked. "What do you mean?" "He asked me to come back. He said my name." She shook her head slowly, an almost human sadness flickering in her hollow eyes. "The voice is not Thomas." I froze. "That voice belongs to the mine." My stomach turned to ice. She continued, floating closer until she was only inches away. "When they died, the earth opened. It swallowed them whole. Their grief bled into the stone. Their fear soaked into the roots." Her hand lifted, hovering near my chest. "And it remembers you." "I wasn't alive," I whispered. "I wasn't here when the mine collapsed." Her voice cracked. "Memory never dies. People do." She leaned closer. "But the mine does not care about your body. It remembers the part of you that ran." My throat tightened. "I wasn't there." "You were," she whispered. "Not in this life, but in the one the mine kept." My skin crawled. "I don't understand." "You carry the soul of the man who left them behind. Ethan Moore. The first Ethan Moore." I staggered backward. "No, that's impossible." "You came back," she whispered, "to finish what you abandoned." The mine rumbled beneath us, vibrating through the soles of my boots. Pebbles shifted. The air grew colder, thicker, harder to breathe. "You must remember," the widow said, "or it will consume you too." A shadow moved at the far end of the tunnel. Not Thomas. Tall, broad, silent. Hands dragging along the walls like they were searching for something. The widow pushed closer, cold radiating from her body. "It is awake now, and it knows you remember." The shadow turned toward us, and its eyes opened. Bright orange, burning, alive. My heart stopped. The widow's face twisted with terror. "Run!" But the mine whispered from every direction. "No." The ground cracked. Roots surged upward,
and something enormous began rising from the stone.
The mine floor cracked open beneath us, splitting like rotting wood. A deep, guttural vibration rose from under the stone, an ancient sound, older than the tunnels, older than the town, older than anything that should breathe beneath the earth. The thing rising from the fissure wasn't a man, it wasn't a ghost, it wasn't even a shape at first. Just a mass of shadow and dirt crawling upward as if the underground itself had begun to take form. But as it lifted its head, the darkness pulled back like peeling skin, revealing a face made of stone, roots, and the faintest hint of rotted human features. A mask of earth wearing the memory of a dead miner. The eyes burned bright orange. Alive, hungry. The widow floated backward, lantern trembling in her hand. Even she, something dead, something bound to the mine, seemed terrified of what was rising now. "Ethan," she whispered, voice cracking. "It has taken their shapes, their voices, their suffering." The thing fully emerged, towering, its shoulders scraping the tunnel ceiling. Roots hung from its limbs like veins. Its chest pulsed in slow, unnatural rhythm, each pulse vibrating the walls, sending dust raining down. It spoke, not with a voice. With every voice it had stolen, dozens of echoes layered into one sound. "You came back for us." My throat closed. "I'm not the one you want." Its head tilted, soil pouring from the crack of its mouth. "You left." The voices stretched, overlapping, twisting into something deeper. "You left us to die." The tunnel shook violently. A rock smashed to the ground, inches from my feet. The widow rushed between me and the creature, her lantern gleaming protectively. The creature recoiled from her light, not in fear, but in annoyance, like a predator swatting at a smaller animal. She whispered, "Run. He wants what you are, not what you have become." "What am I?" I choked. "The memory he lost." The creature roared, a sound like collapsing stone mixed with human screams. The tunnel walls trembled as its massive hand slammed forward. The widow blocked it with her lantern. The blue flame flared, sparks sparking into the air. The blow threw her backward. She crashed into a support beam, her body snapping unnaturally. But she felt no pain. She dissolved into mist and reformed, her lantern flickering weakly. The creature advanced. Its steps shook the entire tunnel. I scrambled backward, breath ragged. The cold in my arm flared, locking the muscles as if something inside me recognized the creature, recognized the guilt, the memory, the shape of the past reaching forward. It reached for me, a massive hand of soil and bone. I stumbled into a rusted minecart. The metal screeched. I shoved it with all my strength. It rolled down the sloped track, gaining speed, and slammed into the creature's legs. The impact barely staggered it, but it bought me a second. 1 second. The creature lunged. I spun and ran. The widow appeared beside me, matching my pace effortlessly, her shape drifting without touching the ground. "You cannot run forever," she whispered. "He is bound to you." "Why?" I gasped, dodging fallen beams. "Why me?" She floated closer, her hollow eyes flickering with pity. "You are not Ethan Moore's namesake. You are Ethan Moore, returned." My blood turned to ice. "No! A soul reborn carries its guilt. The mind does not forgive." I tripped over a loose rail and fell hard. Pain shot up my leg. Before I could get up, the ground behind me cracked open. The creature was close. The widow knelt near me, her cold hand brushing my cheek. She whispered, "You have one chance, only one." "What chance?" "To remember the truth." The tunnel behind us exploded in debris. The creature forced its giant form through the cramped space, ripping beams apart like wet twigs. Its face hovered into view, orange eyes burning, voices trembling together. "Come back, finish what you left." I crawled backward until my spine hit stone. I had nowhere left to go. The widow's lantern flickered violently, then went black. The creature reached down, its hand engulfing the tunnel. Dust filled my lungs. I choked, coughed, closed my eyes, and the mine swallowed me whole.
I plunged into darkness, into memory, into the night I died. The tunnel wasn't a tunnel anymore. It was a collapsing chamber of dust, flame, screams, men trapped, men I abandoned. My hands were younger, my breath quicker, my heart wild.
Voices begged me not to leave. Ethan, don't go. Please, help. I'm stuck. I ran anyway. I remembered running. I remembered leaving them. I remembered surviving. And I remembered. The mine marked my soul. It followed me into my next life. It found me again. I gasped as the vision ended. The tunnel snapped back into view. The creature leaned down, inches from me. It whispered softly with one voice now. You remember. I whimpered. I'm sorry. For what? It asked. For leaving you. My voice broke. For leaving all of you. The mine vibrated. The creature's hand hovered. The widow appeared again, dim, fading, her voice like a dying ember. Then speak it. Say it. I closed my eyes, tears mixing with dirt. I left you, I screamed. I should have stayed. I should have saved you. I'm sorry. The creature froze. The orange glow flickered. Something inside its chest cracked, literally. The roots binding it split. Earth peeled away. The many voices beneath its skin stopped screaming. Then a soft voice emerged, human, gentle. Took you long enough, Ethan. Thomas. A calm, tired sigh echoed inside the creature. We waited for you. The tunnel brightened, not with lantern light, but with morning, real light, breaking through the cracks in the ceiling. The widow floated between us, her form no longer shaking, her voice soft. 12 souls trapped, 12 graves without bodies, one memory unspoken. The creature began to collapse, silently, peacefully, turning to dust and roots. Thomas's voice lingered last. Thank you. Then he was gone, and the creature fell apart completely. Just dust, just stone, just silence. The mine relaxed. The tension released. The cold faded. The widow turned to me, her form flickering. You freed them. My voice trembled. And you? She smiled, just barely, like someone remembering being human. My lantern is no longer needed. Her flame extinguished, her body dissolved into drifting blue ash, and she vanished forever. The mine was empty, truly empty. The weight lifted, the air warmed. A single shaft of sunlight shone through a crack in the ceiling, falling onto my face. I crawled toward it, toward life, toward morning. When I reached the entrance, I collapsed onto the dirt outside, gasping for clean air. Behind me, the mine sighed. A final exhale, and the entrance caved in gently, sealing the darkness inside. I never returned. Some nights, though, I still see a faint blue lantern swinging in my dreams. Not as a warning, but as a goodbye.